Have you ever noticed that some people walk into a room and everyone seems to notice them? They're not the best looking. They're not the richest. They're not the loudest. So why do people naturally pay attention to them? Now ask yourself something. When you enter a room, do people move toward you or do they barely notice you're there? The truth is, people decide how they feel about you long before you finish your first sentence. It's not magic. It's psychology. The good news is that attraction isn't something you're born with. It's something you communicate. Today, you'll discover 5 psychological habits that make people impossible to ignore. They're simple, but almost nobody practices them consistently. The last one is the habit that separates people others constantly chase from those everyone quietly forgets. Stay until the end, because one small behavior you probably do every day could be making you invisible without you even realizing it. The first habit is surprisingly uncomfortable. Stop trying to make everyone like you. Most people spend their lives performing. They laugh at jokes that aren't funny. They agree with opinions they don't believe. They say yes when they desperately want to say no. They change their personality depending on who's standing in front of them. It feels safe. It feels polite, but it destroys attraction. Think about the people you actually remember. Are they the ones who constantly agree with everyone? Or are they the ones who confidently express who they really are? Your brain naturally pays attention to people who are authentic. Why? Because authenticity is rare. The human brain is constantly searching for signals that someone is genuine. When someone hides their opinions just to fit in, your brain unconsciously labels them as predictable, safe, forgettable. But when someone calmly says, "That's not really for me," without apologizing, something changes. They become interesting. Not because everyone agrees with them, but because they're real. Imagine 2 co-workers. One agrees with every idea in every meeting. The other respectfully shares a different perspective when they believe something can be improved. Who do you remember after the meeting ends? Exactly. Being agreeable isn't the same as being valuable. Here's something most people never realize. Every time you betray your own opinion just to avoid rejection, you teach people that your approval has no value. And things with no value are easily ignored. Be honest. How many times this week did you say yes when you wanted to say no? Think about that for a second. If this is already changing the way you see yourself, subscribe to Mr. No Excuses. Every week, we break down the psychology behind confidence, discipline, and human behavior without the sugarcoating. The second habit has nothing to do with what you say. It begins before you even open your mouth. Own your space. Have you ever noticed someone quietly walk into a room and immediately command attention? They didn't announce themselves. They didn't act loud. They simply looked comfortable being there. Most people do the opposite. They shrink themselves. Their shoulders collapse. Their eyes stay on the floor. Their arms stay tight against their body. They hide behind their phone because silence feels uncomfortable. Without realizing it, they're telling everyone around them one message: I don't belong here. Your body speaks before your mouth ever does. In psychology, this is called nonverbal communication. People judge confidence in seconds. Not because they're trying to, because the brain evolved to read posture long before language. That's why your body becomes your first introduction. The next time you sit down, don't curl into the smallest version of yourself. Relax. Lean back naturally. Keep your shoulders open. When you walk, don't rush as if you're trying to escape. Walk like you know exactly where you're going. Calm, steady, present. This isn't about pretending to be important. It's about refusing to apologize for existing because you belong in that room just as much as everyone else. Notice something. Confident people rarely ask permission to occupy space. They simply do, not with arrogance, with certainty. And certainty attracts attention. Quick question. Which habit is harder for you? Being yourself or owning your space? Leave your answer in the comments. I read them all, and I'm curious which one challenges you the most. Here's the cold truth. People don't follow those who beg for acceptance. They notice those who are already comfortable accepting themselves. The third habit might be the most underrated skill on this list. Learn to become comfortable with silence. Most people are terrified of quiet moments. The second a conversation slows down, they rush to fill the space. They ramble. They over-explain. They speak before they've even finished thinking. But have you ever noticed that the most respected people usually speak the least? That's not an accident. It's psychology. Your brain naturally assigns more value to things that are rare. Words work the same way. The more someone talks, the less weight each sentence carries. But when someone pauses before answering, your brain assumes they're choosing their words carefully. That creates authority. Imagine two people answering the same question. The first person immediately blurts out whatever comes to mind. I mean, yeah, maybe. I guess that could work. The second person pauses for 3 seconds, looks up, thinks, then calmly says, I think it's a good idea, but it still needs work. Who sounds more confident? Who sounds more intelligent? Who would you trust? Exactly. Silence isn't awkward. It's powerful. The next time someone asks for your opinion, don't race to answer. Take a breath, think, then speak. You'll be surprised how differently people listen to you. Remember this. Confidence never rushes. Insecurity always does. Cold truth. People don't remember who spoke the most. They remember who said something worth hearing. The fourth habit changes the way people see you almost instantly. Stop asking for approval. Think about how often people ask questions like, do you think this looks okay? Should I post this? Was that weird? Do you think they like me? Every question sounds small by itself, but together they send one message. I need you to tell me I'm good enough. The problem isn't asking for advice. The problem is making other people responsible for your confidence. Magnetic people don't do that. They make a decision. Then they move forward. They wear what they like. They say what they believe. They post something online. And they don't spend the next 2 hours refreshing notifications. Because their confidence doesn't come from strangers. It comes from themselves. Be honest. How many times have you checked your phone today just to see if someone noticed you? Think about that. The moment your happiness depends on someone else's approval, you've handed them your power. If you're getting value from this video, hit the like button. It tells YouTube this content is worth sharing, and it helps more people discover Mr. No Excuses. The fifth habit is the hardest. Be willing to walk away. This doesn't mean becoming cold. It doesn't mean pretending you don't care. It means respecting yourself enough to leave places where you're never respected. Stop chasing people who never reach back. Stop sending the fifth message. Stop trying to convince someone to see your value. The people who genuinely want you in their life won't require you to beg for a place in it. Here's one of the biggest psychological truths you'll ever hear. We naturally value what doesn't desperately need us. Neediness pushes people away. Self-respect pulls people closer. That's why the most magnetic person in the room isn't usually the loudest. They're the one who's completely comfortable leaving, comfortable being alone, comfortable saying no, comfortable disappointing people when necessary, because they know their worth doesn't depend on someone else's opinion. Imagine your life 1 year from now. You stop pretending, you stop shrinking yourself, you stop talking just to fill silence. You stop asking everyone for permission, and you stop chasing people who keep walking away. How differently would people treat you? More importantly, how differently would you treat yourself? That's where real confidence begins. Not when everyone finally likes you, but when you no longer need them to. So here's my challenge for you. Pick just one of these 5 habits and practice it today. Not next week, not tomorrow. Today, then come back and tell me what happened. Which habit are you going to start with? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one because your story might help someone else who's watching this video. And if you're ready to build quiet confidence instead of fake confidence, subscribe to Mr. No Excuses, because the strongest people in the room aren't trying to impress anyone. They're simply impossible to ignore.